right, let's talk Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, there's some interesting news recently around the National Football League is that wide receiver Brandon Ayuk of the 49ers has requested a trade. Ayuk has been linked to the Steelers kind of through the rumor mill and speculation a little bit this offseason, but the Steelers very notably have not made a major acquisition, a major deal for a guy of Ayuk's stature, right? And obviously this is a Steelers team looking to have a clear number two opposite of Pickens now that they've jettisoned Johnson this offseason. But when you look at the fact that they haven't made a large move, I think it's an indication that the Pittsburgh Steelers truly believe that their number two receiver is already on the roster and they have big time faith in him. Let's go into this report, and then we can talk about it more in detail on the other side. This is from All Steelers, by the way. Despite numerous reports and endless speculation, the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't brought in another wide receiver to pair with George Pickens. The team's reported interest in Brandon Ayuk remains, but it seems likelier that he remains with the 49ers for the next season. It may end up that the Steelers already have their number two receiver on the roster, negating the need to bring in any more outside options. Team insider Mark Caboli, who I really think has got some good contacts, smart guy, recently joined the 93.7 The Fan to discuss who stuck out during organized team activities and training camp. When the topic of receivers came up, Caboli named third-year receiver Calvin Austin III as his top choice. Calvin Austin, Caboli said, but he should be because he's been in the league 3 years. He's fast, and you're not allowed to touch him in OTAs. I hope he excels at that point right there. Austin is in line to see a huge upgrade in a role and targets in 2024. And it's not just Caboli. The new receivers coach had this to say. Zach Azani had this to say, talking about Austin. He's been outstanding. That's a guy that's gone from here to here in the last 8 weeks, holding one hand here and one hand here. So again, here to here. I don't know if I'm on the screen or not, but big jump from Austin. He said, it's been really fun to watch. He's a worker. He's intentful. He's urgent. He wants to be coached. You can see it. All right, so by evidence of the Steelers' non-moves, it's clear that Pittsburgh believes in Austin to be their number two wide receiver, especially when you listen to the insiders and the Steelers receivers coach. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but first, Pittsburgh fans, in the comment section below, we're talking about a trade the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't going to make. Doesn't look like they are going to make the trade for Brandon Ayuk. But give us, in your opinion, the best trade in Pittsburgh Steelers history, the move they did make. There's a lot of interesting moves, but you can only pick one. Give us the best trade in Steelers history and put it in the comment section below. And look, at this point, we appreciate all of you viewers, everyone who's clicked on this video. It means a lot to us. If you're looking to support us and if you're looking for some really good football reading to get you prepped for the season, make sure you check out the book Playmakers by Mike Florio. It's a great book. I obviously bought it. My co-host bought it too. Highly recommend you read it. There's a link to our affiliate through Amazon in the description box below. Make sure you check it out if you're interested in supporting us and if you want a great football book for your collection as well. But Miles, I'll throw it over to you now. What are your thoughts on this latest news involving the Steelers and Calvin Austin?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is going to be a big time year for a guy like Calvin Austin because I think he's a guy that truly, getting over some injuries, getting into the swing of things. This is a guy who, for the Steelers, hasn't yet had his moment to shine. I don't think he's truly gotten enough snaps to show what all he is capable of. And that's why I like what he has going for him this season. It seems like the Steelers really trust him. It seems like you said they haven't gone after many major acquisitions. I think they've had opportunity. I think the Brandon Ayuk situation, I think Ayuk has had the potential to be on the table for a long time now. It's just more of the Ayuk camp saying, hey, we didn't come to a deal, so now I'm officially open to being traded. I think the unhappiness there. So I think the Steelers would have gotten him if they wanted him or if they thought it was a good enough price. I think Calvin Austin is a guy here that really could have a resurgence as the number two receiver for the Steelers. And he complements Pickens very nicely. Smaller guy, more of a speedster, but he's played out wide for a long time. You look at in college, he played over 1,000 snaps all throughout his college career. In those 1,000 snaps, over 700 of those snaps were out wide. So I think that he's a guy that naturally feels comfortable playing out wide, playing in that number two position. I think he's a guy who's going to settle in for this Steelers team, and undeniably the speed that he has, I think it's game breaking. I think he's a guy that can really open up this offense if given the opportunity. I just don't think he's quite yet had the opportunity to do that, and I think this could be his year.
And look, we talked about it a few times with the Steelers. Omar Khan this offseason, he has not been afraid to make big moves, right? He finally got rid of Matt Canada, brought in Arthur Smith, of course. They made big changes to the front office, bringing in some analytics guys, some analytics gurus to kind of change their decision-making processes. How about the fact they moved off Kenny Pickett and brought in not one, but two quarterbacks to potentially duke it out for the number one spot, right? So if Omar Khan wanted to make a big move and wanted to acquire someone, he would do it, right? Because we saw it this offseason multiple times, Omar Khan making moves. So the fact that he hasn't made the trade for Brandon Ayuk, I think is an indication that obviously, of course, what the 49ers want for Ayuk is absolutely massive, but it's also an indication that he likes what they have at wide receiver. And I think, look, I know Calvin Austin has been disappointing early on in his NFL career, but at this point, we've got to ask ourselves, how much of that is Austin? How much of that is Matt Canada, right? And I think we got to, kind of give these guys, especially some of these young Pittsburgh Steelers, a few years or at least a few games without Canada actually just butchering the offensive strategy. It's going to be a lot better this year, almost by default. I think Arthur Smith will be an upgrade, and I think we'll see a lot of these young guys really improve. And if you look at the Steelers offense, the number two receiver doesn't have to do an incredible amount. We know Pickens is going to get 1 million targets, rightly so. Freiermuth is an X factor, right? Talking about the relationship with Wilson this offseason, it's been a headline. They're on a great rapport right now. Two good running backs with Warren and Harris, right? We're looking at a Pittsburgh Steelers number two receiver position that isn't going to need a massive workload. They're looking for a big play threat pretty much only. And that's exactly what Austin brings to the table. Things are looking really, really positive for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the growth of Calvin Austin. I think the anti-Matt Canada effect will allow this young receiver to finally show what he's made of.